Hello, my name is Isaiah Guay, and for this milestone, I worked on the New Lundo ruins. So, as a player, I want to explore the flooded ruins of New Lundo so that I may progress through the game. Completion criteria: player enters in after descending stairs and crosses a narrow bridge to enter the ruins. There are crumbled buildings, high water levels. Level is complete when boss is defeated. Win conditions are met when the player defeats the boss or leaves the area. Loss conditions are met when the player dies. We will see the last three completion towards the end of the video. So we'll load up. So one of the completion criteria, we started coming down from Firelink Shrine. Ready from here. Alright, there's also boundaries so the player can't just go running off. As well as water will kill the player, so this is a safe point, so stepping on that, I'm gonna kill myself by jumping in the water. So we can come back to tasks. I'll go deeper on that further on. So as a player, I want to find a way to safely cross the collapsing structures so that I do not fall to my death. Completion criteria for this is adding a unique feature to this level, which is adding the pitfalls. Player avatar will die if player falls down in any pits or holes, and player is able to find the means to traverse safely over and around the holes and gaps. So in this I will demonstrate visitor. Just make sure I start with this. So we'll be able to see because walking on the roads and the bridges, and it's actually like holes. The lighting is supposed to be darker, but I couldn't get it just right. It was either too dark or too bright, so it's as I could do. But you know, the player wasn't supposed to be able to see through it, and if we fall down, we'll actually die, and it should spawn us back to checkpoint. Obviously. So going to the left is where the boss area is. So again, I'll go to that afterwards. The enemies, they were supposed to be ghosts that went through walls. They don't. You might notice they walk on water. It's trying to happen. Just not having them falling down because ghosts can't really drown. So continue on to the holy holes. Seeing in here, it is a little darker. So if you fall any of the holes, obviously your player will die. And the objective of this was to get this chest over here to find the key along with some souls so that we can challenge the boss. So I'll die just so we can see that we can't swim in the water. And lastly, as a player, I want to fight the 4 kings so that I may pass to the next level. Whoever wants to come up. There we go. Completion criteria. Player can enter the boss area. Boss is killable, and completion conditions are met when the player defeats the boss. Come back here. Again, this probably would have been more challenging for the player if they had less light, like janky stairs. Alright, the boss does have more health than regular mobs, so regular mobs usually take 4 hits. This should take 8 or 9, I think. So that was the boss completed, and it's done. Whoops. And that's what I did for my milestone.
Hello, my name is Joshua Gibson, and today I'll be recording the video for my GDN 4920 Milestone 2. Our sprint goal is to create prototype levels for the player to progress through when conditions are met. My level today is the Undead Parish, and as such, my first objective is, as the player, I want to explore a new continent and venture into the Undead Parish, which is directly over the bridge from the Undead Burg. The completion criteria for this is to create the Undead Parish for the player to explore and experience. Create and place items and checkpoints throughout the level. We'll boot up our build here. Let me just make sure that my audio is properly balanced. Good. Level select, Undead Parish, and here we are. As you can see, the level begins on a bridge. This is because the level prior to this, the Undead Burg, finished on a bridge. Before we start going into the level, we have some other objectives that I would like to go over. First is, as a player, I want to have checkpoints so that I do not have to return to the beginning of the level if I die. The completion criteria for this is to have a bonfire that acts as a checkpoint for respawn. Here you can see our bonfire asset. By passing through it, it activates the checkpoint system, and on death, after about 3 seconds, we respawn at the most recent checkpoint. Which leads us to our next thing. As a player, I want to have a death screen so that I can know when I die. The completion criteria for this is to have a death screen display when the player dies. So when I run off the edge, I fall to my death and I die. As you can see, "You died" appears for the same amount of time as I remain dead. My third and final thing that I added to the level was, as a player, I want to have a pickup that will allow me to have more souls so I could power up easier. The completion criteria was to create an item that could be picked up by the player that adds soul. This small yellow orb on the ground is the current placeholder for said item. When walked over, it adds 50 souls to the player. Once our inventory is completed, I will make it a collectible item, and it will have varying sizes. Now let's get on to the level. Over here is the secret passageway to the right that leads to a path going up. We'll come back to that a little later. For now, let's head up the stairs to the cathedral. As we walk up the mighty stairs into the church, we can see the menacing Black Knight waiting for us. Black Knight is larger and more formidable than any foe left on the battlefield. He is an optional boss, and defeating him not only grants massive soul bonus, but a shortcut to the end of the level. Heading up these stairs, we get to the roof of the church. The roof is where we'll find the gargoyle bosses. There are 4 of them that must be contended with in order to get to the bell at the end to finish the level. But first, let's go this way. Down our ladder. Avoid these enemies. Down the slope. Ladder number 2. Here you can see that secret passage would have led you to this side path. This path is longer and filled with smaller enemies. However, a player may choose to go this route if they want to avoid fighting the difficult to beat Black Knight, as these enemies are much easier to contend with. If we head across this path over here to this optional area, go up this ladder guarded by an enemy, we discover a secret storage area up top. Who knows what mysterious items can be found here? Now let's respawn at the last checkpoint touched. After defeating the gargoyle demons, the level will complete when the player can cross the threshold and activate the trigger. If the enemies were killed, a trigger would appear here, activating a bell. As you can see, a message appears on screen, and after a few seconds would normally move to a new location. However, as of now, we don't have any other levels after this, so it just goes to a death screen.
Hello, my name is Russell Clevenger, and I'm a member of Team Patrick. This is my sprint review for Milestone 2, and my tasks were, as a player, I want to swap out weapons and shields in my inventory and equip them to the player when placed in the equipment slots. I want to explore new content and discover the catacombs, which is directly north of Firelink Shrine. I want to explore and encounter multiple types of enemies who look different and who have multiple levels of difficulties. As a player, I want to have the ability to see my current weapon and shield, to have a visual representation of my equipped items, and then as a player, I want to encounter a boss that will be more difficult to defeat before allowing me to move on to the next level of the map. Okay, so I'll go ahead and go into the catacombs. On the back side of this wall, I'll go ahead and demonstrate the equipped items. I'll go ahead and pick up a bunch of these items. And then if you go into the inventory, you can place any one of these into the slots and they'll equip them onto the player. You can do this with any combination of these, and it does not delete them out of your inventories. So, and with this, you have the ability to pick up multiple of the same weapons and shields, just like in the game. Alright, so walking through this temple area, you'll come out to the graveyard. In the graveyard, you'll encounter a bunch of enemies. This one right here is it's a gold shield enemy NPC, and for right now, he is just a basic enemy. This is a rusty shield enemy. He's kind of a rock character. I have two more gold shield characters up there, which I will skip for the time management of this. Okay, this guy's got a mossy shield and a mossy sword. And if you follow this road, it'll lead you right to the catacombs. Alright, and you'll notice that there's a light around the character. That's because in the game there's a light that illuminates around the character when he's in the catacombs or in any dark areas. So we'll encounter one NPC at the entrance of the catacombs. And this is the first mini boss. He is a knight similar to the ones in Dark Souls. At this time, he does not have his own behavior tree, but in the future, he will have his own behavior tree where he's going to have his own movements and attacks. Alright, And then next I run into another one of these characters with the mossy shield. I have other attacks as well. And I can swap out weapons with those to be similar to what this next boss's weapons are going to look like. Alright, and this is the final boss. She is a knight. And after you defeat the boss, you'll come up and find a chest that you can open and find some gear lying around. Okay, this concludes my portion of the sprint review. Thank you very much for watching this review.